Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex, and my co-host Anthony, the Great Rivardo. Guys, unfortunately, we did not make the postseason, and the reason, Doug Peterson's a piece of crap. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to rant about that because, last night I was super pissed off, and I know everybody in the sports realm is. People that have watched the NFL for their entire lives know you don't purposefully lose a game. And it was very clear on national television, a game that was flexed to prime time. You don't do it on purpose. And this is something that, we need to talk about and something that deserves to be talked about. But before we dive into the nitty-gritty and really how pissed we are and what this meant for the NFL, let alone the Giants, how are you doing, Anthony?
Not so good. I'm pretty pissed off. It's not, as much as I'm pissed at the way that the Eagles, took our playoff chances away, I'm not really so much pissed about the repercussions that it had for the Giants, but really more just because it's just not the right thing to do to NFL players who put their bodies on the line week after week, day after day, and are struggling and to, keep their jobs, a lot of them. Like a lot of those guys were, on the bubble, like at the bottom of the roster, just fighting for a chance to keep their jobs, right? And you just have them go out there and lose when all they do is prepare and practice to win. Like, you think about it, these NFL players, they go and they put their bodies on the line. They practice on Christmas, on New Year's. Like, they have no days off, their days off are very, minimal. And they all put their bodies on the line just for fan entertainment, for fans that want to see good football and want to see teams win. And, to see a coach just take that away from them and just force them to lose with, coaching decisions that were clearly designed to make his team lose. It's just confusing, it's annoying, it's weird, and then, of course, the Giants fan in me is super pissed because, man, I wanted to see playoff football. Everybody who was in our live stream knows that I was hungry for playoff football. I was screaming and shouting because I wanted to see playoff football, but we're not going to see it this year, but whatever. It's upwards and onwards to 2021. I think overall we could take a lot of positives away from the season anyway. And man, oh man, I cannot wait to play Philadelphia next year. It's going to be a bloodbath, and I am excited.
Yeah, I mean, look, the reality is the Eagles did something that disrupted the integrity of the game. They embarrassed themselves and they embarrassed the NFL because everybody watched on national television. And it's not about the Giants, like you mentioned. The Giants, if they wanted to make the postseason, they had 16 opportunities to do it. The Evan Ingram drop earlier in the year, there was a plenty of different plays. There was, a string of games, and three games they lost by a combined 6 points. If you want to win in the NFL, you got to win those games. And the Giants are the 31st overall offense. They had one of the worst offensive units in the NFL. And they didn't have Saquon Barkley. They did not deserve to be a playoff team. This is not about the Giants, okay? This is about the Eagles, Doug Peterson, and their organization having respect for the game. You didn't see the New York Jets, who basically had a one-way ticket to Trevor Lawrence. You didn't see them lay down and die. They competed. Adam Gase competed knowing he was going to be fired. He already knew, and he competed anyway. So that says a lot to me about the integrity that they have for the game, the respect they have. It is not just about draft selection. Because Doug Peterson actually had the audacity, right? The audacity to say after the game that he was trying to win by playing a 5-year veteran in Nate Sudfeld that he wanted to see more of.
He shouldn't even have to say that. He shouldn't even be in the position where he has to clarify that his team was trying to win a game. It is embarrassing. It's gross. And I'll say this as a rebuttal to people who are saying Giants fans would be acting the same way as Eagles fans right now, saying how happy we are that our team... Giants fans would never be happy to watch their team go out there and just lay over and die.
We're never happy every week. Every week. If they did that at any point in the season, if they laid down and it was obvious on national television that they were not caring, I would be pissed, man. My team, I watch football to watch good football. I don't watch to watch my team give up and go for a draft pick. That is not why I'm a football fan.
Eagles fans are very happy with what happened last night, and they're celebrating this, which doesn't surprise me. You all know it's been very well documented, my hatred for the Eagles and their fans in particular. I hate Eagles fans, and a lot of them are celebrating and very happy with what Doug Peterson did last night because they moved up 3 spots in the draft. Giants fans, somebody said the Giants fans would be happy about this as well. No, we would not. Giants fans would not be happy about this because Joe Judge comes in day after day and speaks to the media and says, we're focused on the next game. All we do is win. We don't play to lose. We play to win. We're always going to go out there and compete. If he were to go out there and then do the complete opposite of everything that he said, I would no longer be the number one fan of the Joe Judge fan club. I would not believe in him anymore. I would not believe anything that he has to say, and I would not believe in this team at all if Joe Judge were to go down there or go out in a game and just lose on purpose. I would never respect that guy who, knowing he knows that his players came in on Christmas and put together a good day of practice and come in and spend all their time throughout all these COVID protocols, no less. A lot of these guys are putting like their health risks on the line, right? A lot of players are going out there in the middle of a pandemic to play football for our enjoyment, for the fans' enjoyment. And to see a coach just say, you made all these sacrifices all season, now I'm going to force you to lose. Joe Judge would never do that, and if he did, I would no longer support him. And I don't think any Giants fan would ever be happy to watch their team do this, and I think that is just a very confusing, bewildering thing for somebody to say about Giants fans. Giants fans are some of the most passionate fans ever. Like, we are so passionate, we love our team, and we just want to see them win games. We were so happy last year when Daniel Jones threw 5 touchdown passes and won a meaningless game in December, and we lost Chase Young because of it. But we didn't care. We were just happy to watch the Giants win. We knew what was going to happen. We just wanted to see the Giants win football games. It's rare for us. We want to see our team win. We never want to see our team lie down, die, and lose games. You can't convince me that Giants fans will be happy with their team doing what Philadelphia did last night. Ever. That just would not happen.
Look, we faced the same moral dilemma this past week. We really did. We could have lost and had a chance at the 3rd overall pick, let alone the 10th or 11th, what we have right now. We faced this dilemma, and we all decided that we wanted the playoffs instead. You know, we wanted a chance, even though we had to rely on the Eagles to win this game. And what Doug Peterson did, and let me take it a step further. The NFL did a fantastic job this year getting everybody ready, playing all 17 games, really getting all the tests out, managing the COVID-19 pandemic and all these players and coaches contracting it. And Doug Peterson rubbed all of that hard work in the dirt. You know, he just spat on it. And it was embarrassing because as a Giants fan, you know, we rooted to win. And maybe last year when we played Washington, we'd be like, you know, maybe it might be better to lose this game. But at the end of the day, winning, it felt better. It felt good. I remember Daniel Jones throwing 5 touchdowns in that game and saying, maybe we have something there. You know, maybe there's more to him than you know, that meets the eye. And while his season didn't go exactly as planned, mainly because Jason Garrett, a lack of playmakers, Saquon Barkley going down, a new offensive line and scheme, I don't regret anything because we have a left tackle in Andrew Thomas. We know what Eric Flowers presented before that. You know, this is where we are now. And I don't have any regrets, truthfully. But here we are, you know, talking about this, the Eagles making another just boneheaded decision. It's embarrassing. I can't imagine anyone around the NFL respects Doug Peterson after that. I actually saw a video of Jalen Hurts sitting on the bench saying it's not right. It's very clear, too. He said it's not right. You tell me what that says about the players and how they feel about Doug Peterson right now. I think he lost the respect of his players. I think there was guys out there, especially on defense, playing their hearts out. They had a wide receiver playing cornerback at one point. It's documented. It's a fact. They have the guy's number and name on the field that you can see. You know, this is what we watched last night. We saw a team stoop so low for a draft selection because Doug Peterson knew that he wasn't getting fired. If he knew that his job was on the line, he wouldn't have done that. You know, and maybe it wasn't Doug Peterson. Maybe it was upper management that told him, you know, screw this game, botch this game. Who knows? It could have been somebody else. But the reality is for the Eagles to do that while the Giants and teams are fighting through COVID, fighting through adversity to try and make a playoff appearance, and they just don't even try. They lay down when they have Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts going in a quarterback battle right now for Nate Sudfeld and putting a wide receiver at cornerback. You can't tell me that. You can't justify to me that was not the most embarrassing thing I've seen as an NFL fan in years.
Well, here's my thing, right? Don't you want to see what Jalen Hurts can do in that scenario where you're down, close game in the fourth quarter, have the chance to eliminate a division rival from the playoffs? You know, you don't even have to be so literal and say that we weren't playing for anything, right? Philadelphia wasn't playing for anything if they wanted to say that. They don't have to be so literal. They could say, Jalen, go out there and pretend you're playing the Super Bowl. Go out there in this drive. You're down 3. If you don't score, you might lose the Super Bowl. Go out there. You need to prove this to us that you can do this. You know what I mean? Don't you want to see that from your young quarterback, the rookie quarterback that's probably going to have to replace your other quarterback that you just paid all this money and have to trade because he hates your head coach so much? That's what a lot of it is. Carson Wentz doesn't like Doug Peterson. There's been rumors about that. I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to play for a guy like this either, who wants his team to lose games and throws games like that. Who wants to play for Philadelphia if that's the type of thing that they do? You know what I mean? Like, I don't see a lot of big ticket free agents going there in free agency, and I don't see why they would want to. Why would anybody want to play for that guy? I can't imagine it, which is why I don't blame Carson Wentz for wanting to get out of Philadelphia, because apparently, this has to be something that's gone on for a while. There's got to be some things that Doug Peterson's done that's rubbed him the wrong way. Carson Wentz, yeah, I'm not a fan of the guy because he plays quarterback for the Eagles, but he's a nice guy. He's not a problem. He doesn't have any character issues. He's always been a stand-up dude and a good charitable, philanthropic guy off the field. So clearly, if there's something going on, I don't put the blame on him. I would much more likely put it on Doug Peterson, seeing his character shine through in this Week 17 game. But again, Jalen Hurts, don't you want to see him in that situation? Why would you want to see Sudfeld in that situation? He's going to be your backup forever. He's not going to prove anything to you that's going to make him right. He's not going to prove anything to you that he's a starter. Let Jalen Hurts go out there and win his job next year. Now you're going to go in shaky, thin ice. Maybe they'll even draft a quarterback now, and Jalen Hurts is just going to be like, well, man, I wish I was allowed to play the rest of that game because maybe I would have went out there and changed their minds, and they wouldn't have drafted a quarterback. It's just, I don't know. I think it was just such a disrespectful thing to do to all the players on that team. Wow. And yeah, I hate all the players on that team, but still, thinking of them as human beings and people who play this sport as a job, and about the fans who care to watch their team put in effort and win and reward the players who put in a lot of effort. Just crazy moment and really disappointing stuff.
Imagine they did that. Imagine that they actually used that 6th overall pick and chose a quarterback. And then Jalen Hurts is sitting there like, what the hell? I would be like, Giants, go get Jalen Hurts and watch him become your franchise quarterback.
Yeah. Right.
Because that's dirty, man. That's dirty to do that to a quarterback because you want a better draft
If they draft a quarterback, Doug Peterson is going to look like a real scumbag. Like, I hate to call names and everything. He already does. I don't like to call names and stuff, but he's going to look like a real scumbag if he just took Jalen Hurts' opportunity away to prove himself as the team's quarterback and then just went and drafted a quarterback. At least give the guy a chance. He didn't even give him a chance last night. And I know there was a report before the game that they wanted to get Sudfeld out there, but they said they only wanted to get him out there if the situation was right. They weren't going to cost themselves the game to get him out there. That was a lie. They just put him out there because they knew that they were going to win if they kept Jalen Hurts out there.
My favorite thing after the game, they asked Alex Smith. They're like, so what did you think when they took out Jalen Hurts? And he goes, I don't know, maybe it was raining too hard. It was like, really? That's exactly what I thought too. I was like, there's no other way to justify it but some ridiculous excuse like that. And then after the game, of course, he goes back, Doug Peterson goes back and says we were trying to win by putting a 5th-year backup quarterback, Nate Sudfeld, who is the 3rd-string backup on that team, giving him a chance. And then he fumbles the ball away immediately, and it's just a disaster. Like, the guy literally has been a career backup for a reason. There's no reason to even see him. He two-gloved Nate. Unbelievable. And this is where we are. The Giants fans, I think this rivalry, it's always been hot and heavy, but it's been refueled, man. And I promise, next year, the Giants better come out on that field and lay the Eagles down. Put them down. This is going to carry over. I promise. I saw Jabril Peppers this morning, and his face, he looked depressed. These teammates, Darius Slayton, Golden Tate, they were all tweeting about it. Julian Love, Blake Martinez, all these guys are going to remember this. They're all going to remember what the Eagles did this week, and it is going to be a bloodbath, and I promise I will be there for it. I'm going to be rubbing it in the Eagles' faces. I am going to be so hyped for this upcoming season. Hopefully fans can be allowed because I would love to go and just get rowdy. That would be a fun one.
I hope the fans are allowed because we'll have to make sure that we do our ESM tailgate or whatever for a Philly game at home.
Oh, yeah. That would be an awesome one.
That'd be a banger. Actually, have you seen, the opponents are official now. Our 2021 opponents are official. We'll touch on that real quick because I just want to mention that we'll be playing in Tampa next year, so I will be at that game. And maybe we'll set something up to where we can do a meetup with Fireside Giants fans. And so stay tuned to that. And I can't wait for next season. This season came to a disappointing end, but I'm really excited for this offseason and really excited for next season. And like I said, really excited to hopefully watch the Giants punch the Eagles in the mouth for 60 minutes. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we dive into the next topic, which is going to be Dave Gettleman and the rumors that are circulating right now about his tenure and if he stays, I do want to just give you guys a brief overview of what we plan for the offseason, and that is going to be a ton of draft prospect work, film breakdowns, analysis, free agent.
We've already gotten started on it.
Yep, we already got started. We've been looking at the receivers, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, Amon-Ra St. Brown. There's a lot of guys who we're looking at. And I promise it's going to be dope. It's going to be on YouTube, and obviously we'll do some talking about it through the podcast as well as we watch the film. So that'll be really, really fun. We'll bring in some professionals to help break down the film with us, especially when it comes to cornerbacks. Brian Walker, our guy who trains Jabril Peppers and Darnay Holmes. He's going to help us. Maybe he'll set us up, get us an interview with them. See how Patrick Graham's scheme works and really the intricacies of it. So that would be really fun. See if we can do that. Maybe in the summer we'll meet up with them on the field and just watch, and we'll film it for you guys. But that's what we have in mind for this upcoming offseason. Plenty of really, really fun stuff to get.
That sounds pretty fire.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun, and tons of value for you guys. This offseason is going to be, there's going to be no break. I promise. The season might be over now, but for us, it's just getting started with the offseason, and this is really just a continuation, and it's going to be really fun for us to give all this information to you guys, and I hope you enjoy it as much as we do. But on to the next topic. Dave Gettleman, Anthony. The reports are circulating, man, and what's going on there? I want to get it from you first.
Well, the report is that he's going to remain in his position. Well, rumor report. I'll read it exactly. Let me pull it up by Mike Garafolo. Mike Garafolo, if you're not aware, is the guy who really is in tune with the Giants organization. I don't think he's ever been wrong about anything. He has by far the most connections and sources. He is one of the biggest reporters in NFL. In the NFL, he's one of the biggest reporters. He works really closely with Ian Rappaport and guys like that. He's one of the top in the NFL Network, and he used to be on the New Jersey beat covering the New York Giants. That's how his career got started. So he knows a lot about what's going on inside the Giants organization. He tweeted today, "Yeah, if you're wondering about Dave Gettleman's future as Giants general manager, there's been no indication that anything is changing anytime soon." So sounds like we got another year with Dave Gettleman as the GM. Take from that what you will. Take this, I guess, with a grain of salt because it's not an official report, but he's saying there's no indication that anything is going to change. That sounds to me that Dave Gettleman is going to remain the general manager. Now, I will say this. I might not be happy about that, and I'm not a Dave Gettleman fan. I think that's been well documented that I don't like Dave Gettleman. I will say, if Joe Judge wants Dave Gettleman back, I'm okay with Dave Gettleman back. I just want what Joe Judge wants. I trust in Joe Judge more than anybody. But if Joe Judge is, we'll never know. He'll never admit it. But if Joe Judge isn't the biggest Dave Gettleman fan, but John Mara is the big Dave Gettleman fan who's saying Dave Gettleman is staying as a general manager, that's when I get upset. That's when I don't like it. And I don't really like it either way, but that's what would really piss me off. But we'll never really get the answer to that, of course. But like I said, if Joe Judge wants it, I guess I'll be okay with it. But I wish we were starting to look elsewhere in this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm starting to think it's less Mara and more Chris Mara. Sorry, not John Mara. It's more Chris Mara. And he's really that guy who's involved in the personnel decisions. He's the guy that's behind the scenes. He's the one making these
future. You mean future general manager Chris Mara?
Sir, please halt where you stand. I don't want to go further than that. But listen. When it comes to the Giants, this is a very collaborative thing. There is no singular person who deserves all of the blame or all of the credit, right? This past offseason was much better, right? I think Joe Judge, Patrick Graham had a very big hand in that, but there is credit to be spread around, especially to Dave Gettleman, who managed to bring in some really good free agent signings, helped in the valuation processes for the offensive linemen and, the remainder of the draft class. That those moves need to be praised. And what I will say is that Dave Gettleman's first 2 years here with Pat Shurmur were a disaster. Those plans were a disaster. But since he hired Joe Judge, they elected to make Joe Judge the head coach of the New York Giants, things have looked better. So I could see how they justify keeping Gettleman because, they feel as though upper momentum is coming. It's here. We're seeing growth. And that's all we really wanted to see. All of our rookies contributed this year, every single one of them. You know, we saw Xavier McKinney finish week 17 with 8 tackles, an interception, pass defended after being injured for a while. Andrew Thomas made some big steps forward, was a really good influence in the running game. Shane Lemieux started for the last couple of games, and he's been getting some good reps. Really good run blocker. Needs some help in pass protection. Cam Brown had made some good plays throughout the season. Really good special teams guy. Carter Coughlin did a great job against Russell Wilson. Tay Crowder, great at linebacker, did some good things there. There's a lot to like. Matt Parrott could be the future at right tackle. I really think this entire rookie class 2020 is justifiable for Gettleman to stay one more year. Now, there's a lot to say about Gettleman being axed right now. You could make a very good argument that he should be let go right now. But what I will say is that since he joined up with Joe Judge and this new coaching staff, things have looked better. So
True.
I would prefer that he stay with the Giants in an advisory role and not as the general manager. That is how I feel. I feel like Joe Judge should have a say. Bring in a guy that's going to complement him and knows his style. Because I don't think Gettleman entirely knows Joe Judge's style. I would like Joe Judge to be able to pick that guy, hand pick him to make sure that he's the one that he wants. Because I think Judge should have the autonomy now based on the culture change he has influenced this season. But when it comes to Gettleman, I would like him to be demoted, or really just not demoted, but shifted into an advisory role that can help with the evaluations, the scouting, and just the connections. He has so many connections around the NFL. That's a very valuable thing to have. So that's how I feel they should go about Dave Gettleman. I don't think they're going to fire him, and because of that, I think putting him in an advisory role would be the best case scenario, and then Joe Judge finding a general manager that better suits his needs and the way he wants to play football. What do you think about that?
I think that I just want to see a new GM. Sorry. No. In terms of Dave Gettleman and Chris Mara and, Joe Judge, if you actually go and you Google Chris Mara and the Giants, you'll see a lot of think pieces on nepotism within the Giants organizational culture. And it's very weird because I know that he is senior president of evaluation. So this is my larger point. I don't know exactly who to blame for a lot of the mistakes. I don't know if it's solely on, Dave Gettleman, and maybe we just give him too much flack, right? I don't know if a lot of it has to do with Chris Mara. He evaluates the talents of the players. I don't know if it's John Mara who's really pulling the strings, and I don't know. I just think there's a big mess going on up there, but I think that, yeah, you're right. Dave Gettleman and the Giants staff, front office, did a great job in the 2020 offseason, and Joe Judge, to me, it was signaled that he was the one who changed the Giants' thinking and changed the way that they operate in an offseason. And we saw great improvement because of that, which is why he won me over so easily. And I became such a Joe Judge guy overnight, pretty much. I'm a big fan of his, and I trust in him because of what he did in tandem with Dave Gettleman, which is why I said I'm okay with keeping Dave Gettleman if Joe Judge is okay with keeping Dave Gettleman. I can see it. It worked well last offseason. If they can do it again this offseason, maybe I'll even say continue to keep Gettleman around. But, last offseason, if you look at the past 3 years, was a huge outlier for the Giants, for them to hit on basically everything that they did. They just had a very high batting average last offseason. The previous offseasons, it wasn't nearly as high. So it was a big outlier, which is why everyone likes to give Joe Judge a lot of credit. If we can have a second year like that, and that last year isn't an outlier, then I can feel comfortable, going into 2021, I guess, with Dave Gettleman. But, yeah, overall, I think that there's been a lot of conflicting reports about the whole thing. Albert Breer has indicated many times that the Giants are going to move on and stuff like that. But, it just seems like now the reports are coming in. I guess the Giants are happy with the way that we finished the season, 6-10. I would assume that the win over Seattle has a lot to do with the way that the Giants ownership is thinking right now. And it seems like Gettleman is here to stay, and make with that what you will, Giants fans, and I guess we'll have to start living with that reality for at least another year.
Yeah, that's right. There are a few games this season that did scream progress. Seattle, we just beat Dallas for the first time in 4 years, guys. That's a big thing, and one that should not be taken lightly. I do think that this team is capable of a lot more, and here's what I will say. If the Giants had an average offense this year, we are a playoff team and potentially a 9 to 10 win team.
Absolutely.
Right? That is the reality. I think that's the saving grace for Gettleman personally. The defense looks so freaking good. And they know if we fix that offense, if we give Daniel Jones a wide receiver one, if we get Saquon Barkley back, if the offensive line can take a gradual step forward, we are going to be an average offense at least, and we are going to be I wouldn't say a very good team, but I would say an adequate team, capable of winning games. We should have beat Tampa Bay. Daniel Jones missed a couple throws in that game. We should have beat Dallas the first time. We should have beat the Eagles the first time. There are a bunch of games. We should have beat the Rams. That I feel as though this team was held back by the offense. And Evan Ingram's drops, those were a huge one, a bunch of turnovers. I'm going to create a video showcasing all of those turnovers. That's going to be interesting to watch.
Well, that's going to be a good one. We'll all be really happy to watch that one.
It's gonna open up some things for us because he was a Pro Bowl tight end, and if you can't catch the ball as a receiving Pro Bowl tight end, you don't deserve to be playing. Okay, that's how I feel about it. I think he deserves a roster spot, but I think he should be splitting reps with Caden Smith or another tight end. And you know what? There is a guy in the second round the Giants could potentially land.
Oh, here we go.
Tight end from Penn State, Pat Freiermuth. I don't know how to say his last name properly, but the guy
Alex
is a
in
baller.
love with this kid.
I love this guy. Go check him out. Go check out the tight end from Penn State. He was just injured, so I think his draft stock will be a little bit worse. He might drop a little bit. This kid is a blocker. He runs through people. He's aggressive. He catches the ball at a very high rate, very athletic. He's fast. I'm telling you, man, this is a kid you want as a tight end. If you can get him in the second round, you get a guy like him and a wide receiver one, and you have Saquon Barkley back and your offensive line takes steps forward, you're looking at a very good offense. You need the offensive coordinator. That's a big one. You need the offensive coordinator to put it all together, but you're looking at a good offense with more potential. And, at this point, that's the unit I'm focusing on right now because they obviously already re-signed Logan Ryan to a 3-year deal, which is essentially a 2-year deal and an out after the second. This is going to be, the Leonard Williams or Dalvin Tomlinson debate. Who do you retain, or do they retain both? Because it's going to be hard not to keep. I hope both because Leonard Williams, man, 11.5 sacks. I don't think this defense is the same without him. I truly don't. Patrick Graham has found ways to make him an elite level player. And Dalvin Tomlinson, he shows he's an elite level run stopper. Not the best pass rusher, but he gets after the quarterback well. He does some really great things. For this defense, I think keeping those core three guys, Logan, Dalvin, and Leonard, those are the three guys you got to keep, and then you use the draft for offense. I think that's how they're probably going to approach this upcoming offseason.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, though, what I want to see them do before the offseason even gets started, I'm seeing a lot of coaching changes around the NFL right now, and I'm seeing the Dolphins just fired their offensive coordinator. A lot of offensive coordinators are going to be fired, and I want to see Jason Garrett be one of them. I'm sorry to say it, but I'm hoping that the Giants make a coaching staff change in that regard, and I'm just not too confident that they're going to. I don't know. I guess we'll see, but that's like the number one thing that I want to see, like, soon. I really hope that they move on from him as soon as possible. As soon as he does, I'm sure we'll have a video of celebrating about it up, or a podcast episode, because that will be something for Alex and I to rejoice about, as we've done a lot of film breakdowns on Jason Garrett's offense, and we have been very frustrated while watching it. We're just not a big fan of the scheme and the way that it that they run their offense. And if you think about it, every offensive coordinator that gets fired, other than Adam Gase, who already has been, will have a better ranked offense than the New York Giants, whose was second worst in the NFL. So it's almost inexcusable, but I guess we'll see what happens. Maybe they will fire him. I don't know. I'm hoping that they do, and I'm hoping they do it soon, so we could start the process of looking for an OC before everybody else gets to go and get started on that process.
Yeah. And look, Anthony, you might hurt me right now for saying this. You might hurt me. Okay.
I might.
But I wouldn't be totally against considering Anthony Lynn from the Chargers.
I would not like that.
You would not like that, but here's what I think about when I think about Anthony Lynn. I think about he focusing as an offensive coordinator, not a head coach, right? So he actually is focusing on just the offense. He uses Austin Eckler how I want to use Saquon Barkley. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is he pushes the ball downfield a lot, and he actually uses verticals. I think that having him focus on the offense as a coordinator would do the Giants really well, because you would see them pushing the ball downfield a lot more. And I think you'd see an Austin Eckler style offense where you have Saquon Barkley acting as a really prominent receiver as well. That's what I like about him. Now, I know there's a lot of options out there, but that was the one thought that crossed my mind, is like, I've been harping so much on Saquon Barkley and how he's underused in the passing game, and I think he would do a really good job of actually maximizing his talent, which is something the Giants have failed to do.
Okay, I like some of the points you made, and maybe I was a little too harsh initially. I mean, with my thoughts about that, and we can definitely look into it and maybe make a video about it or something and dive in.
I would like to do that.
I wouldn't mind looking at it, but in terms of situational football and awareness, he doesn't have much of that. I think that's been pretty well documented this season.
That's it, but that's why you have Joe Judge.
Yeah, right. You want to say that's because he's a head coach, but Jason Garrett has proven to have pretty bad situational awareness, and he's made a lot of bad play calls and bad situations. And
I'd rather have that offense, believe me. I'd rather have that offense than Jason Garrett.
But in terms of making bad situational play calls, whether you're head coach or coordinator, it's going to remain a problem. He's still going to make bad situational play calls. If Jason Garrett did it as head coach and now he does it as OC, Anthony Lynn as head coach and OC, he'll have the same problem. My biggest problem with this, though, is that it's so much like Jason Garrett. It's like Jason Garrett 2. Jason Garrett was head coach. He struggled. They were like, okay, let's just he'll be fired as head coach. Let's have him be an OC and focus strictly on the offense. He'll take it to new levels. It's the same thing. But it didn't work. It didn't work with Jason Garrett. He didn't take the offense anywhere. They remained stagnant. In fact, they regressed significantly. So I don't necessarily think that I think the line of thinking, the train of thought that we've had about head coaches having too much on their plate and then being better as offensive coordinators, I don't think that's always necessarily true. Pat Shurmur went over to Denver, and he's actually going to get a second year there as a play caller, so congrats to him, I guess, but they still didn't have a very good offense. They didn't average a lot of points. Their offense was pretty bad, so I don't know how much you want to put on it being a head coach versus an OC, or maybe these guys are just not very good coaches in the NFL. I mean...
Well, let me counter.
Go ahead and counter.
I will say, I have 2 points. Not. This is more about Anthony Lynn than it is about the coaching. Going from head coach to offensive coordinator. What I like about Anthony Lynn is that his offense averaged 24 points per game, right? And that would have, if the Giants average 24 points per game, that makes them average, right? That actually makes them an average offense. We're in the playoffs because of that. But let me add another thing. He also didn't have Austin Eckler for the first 10 weeks of the season, and that was his golden goose. That he wanted to run that offense through Austin Eckler as a receiving back, as their primary running back, and he simply didn't have him, and he had to change the entire offense to fit Justin Herbert instead of utilizing Austin Eckler in the way he would have liked to. So I think that there was a lot of moving pieces. They also had some of the most injuries of any team this year. Keenan Allen was battling injuries, Mike Williams battling injuries, Hunter Henry battling injuries. They were down to their third running back at one point. That was a team that really battled through some serious problems, and I think they still managed to be average. And Justin Herbert, he set the record for most touchdowns by a rookie passer this year. You can't ignore that. I think that he would be a much better offensive coordinator than Jason Garrett, and I would be totally fine. I'm just saying consider him. I'm not saying hire him. I'm just saying consider him because I'm past the Jason Garrett mold. I'm past him. We've done the film review. We've looked at his stuff. His offensive mentality does not fit the Giants, especially because he's a run-first guy. And we saw a lot of north-south running with Wayne Gallman, and that's not going to work with Saquon Barkley. You have to run outside the tackles or in the B gaps. You can't force guys up and right up the gut. Halfback draws only work so much. I think Saquon had 6 yards in week 1 against Pittsburgh, and I know Pittsburgh's defense was elite, but that was an embarrassing performance. That showed a lot to me. Said a lot to me early on. But again, of course, that was a preseason. They didn't have much time. I get the factors going against Jason Garrett. But it took until week 17 for him to realize that Sterling Shepard's their best red zone threat. Okay? He doubled his touchdown totals in 1 week, in week 17. It took that long for Jason Garrett to figure it out. I don't trust him because I think it takes him too long to adjust to his players. I think he was forcing a scheme on his guys that simply wasn't working, and I would prefer to see them move on from him. At this point, I think Anthony Lynn would be a decent guy to consider based on the success Justin Herbert had as a young quarterback, how he uses his running backs as receivers, and how he uses his number one receivers, getting them open, scheming them open, getting Keenan Allen open, pushing the ball downfield and taking shots. That's what I want to see, and I think he did that pretty well.
Okay, and I will say I agree with a lot of your points, and I want to say that I do like how vertical the passing attack is for the Chargers offense, or at least was this year. And yet you can't deny the success that Justin Herbert had in that offense as a rookie, you know? Situational football is not Anthony Lynn's strength. It's just my biggest problem with this is it just feels too much like Jason Garrett. It's not something new. It's, again, finding a head coach who didn't work out but had an offensive background and then making him an offensive coordinator and expecting him to turn everything around. It's like, we just did that. I don't know if I necessarily want to do it again, but I understand why it's different. I do think that that's a scheme that I prefer as opposed to Jason Garrett's scheme. This one is far more vertical, and it's much better constructed in the passing game, and this is a passing league. You need a good passing game in the modern NFL to win. Jason Garrett has maybe a good running scheme, but the passing scheme is, as we all have seemed to agree on, pretty bad. So yeah, I get the argument. I do get your argument, and I am okay with considering him and putting him under further consideration. I'm not going to write Anthony Lynn off just yet, but I just want to say that I think that's a little too similar to the Jason Garrett hiring for me or for a lot of fans to just jump right on board with that. But it is an interesting idea that you bring up, and I am excited actually to do a little bit of research on it this offseason and think about it if Jason Garrett is in fact fired.
Yeah, and that's the big thing here. Really, Jason Garrett has to be fired first before we even consider anybody else. So
True.
We're going to wait. We're going to wait on that because tomorrow or Wednesday, management will be talking. Dave Gettleman and Mara will be talking, so we'll get some answers then. Maybe we'll hear a decision, but we'll probably hear it first through the media, what's going on, maybe today or tomorrow. We'll see what happens with Garrett. This is a guy that I simply don't trust. I don't think Daniel Jones looked anything like his normal self compared to 2019. He cleaned up some of his fumbling problems, but I think that's more of a result of Jerry Shuplinski than I think Jason Garrett.
I think that Daniel Jones played a lot better this year. I think he was a much better and more refined quarterback than he was in his regular season. I think he really, he did turn the ball over. It happened, but I don't think he put the ball. I don't think he put the ball in harm's way nearly as much as he did as a rookie. And I think his pocket presence improved significantly. And I think he proved that he's a really accurate passer downfield. And if you disagree with me, go check the live stream replay from the post game show. We were very adamant about why we like Daniel Jones throwing the ball deep. So go check that out. But I saw a lot of progress from Daniel Jones this year, but I think we could have seen more in another scheme is really the main thing. So, but my fear is that the Giants are going to see the same things that we did, right? They're going to see a lot of improvements from Daniel Jones, and then they're going to give Jason Garrett a lot of credit for that, and then they're going to keep him around for another year at least. And that's my little fear that I have heading into this offseason. I hope that they see it differently. I hope that they see that Jones could have reached another level. He reached another level. He could have reached another one if he was in another scheme. I hope that they see that because we see that. But maybe they'll see it differently, and they'll think that they're fine to head into 2020 with an offensive coordinator that couldn't even average 20 points per game. I hope not, though.
20 points? Try 17. Or 18.
I'm going to vomit. Stop it. I'm going to vomit.
Okay. I'm sorry. Anyway, guys, I hope you liked our little spiel on the Eagles because that was a big storyline from last night, and I'm still pretty upset about just the integrity that they lacked toward the game.
God, I hate that team. I hate their fans. I hate everything about them.
I hate them.
My personal hell is Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'll never go to Philly. Never. And I don't even eat cheese, so no reason to go get a cheesesteak either. No reason to go there. New York's the best city in the world.
Is that even a question? By far, yeah. Can't wait to go back.
Anyway, guys, it's gonna look. This offseason is gonna be awesome. We're gonna be doing the draft breakdowns, the free agent breakdowns. We're gonna be looking at the scheme. We're gonna be looking at the individual players. I'm gonna be making highlight videos for pretty much all of them as I go through the film. And, if you guys have any requests, as always, hit us up on YouTube. Hit us up on YouTube and comment on the videos. What do you guys want to see? Feedback. We will literally make anything you guys want us to see. We do this for you if you want to get have a better offseason, make the time go by a little bit quicker. We will do the work for you. So, of course, we appreciate your support as always. A great season. We really appreciate everybody who tuned in along the way and all the people we picked up to join this amazing community. So we love you guys. And keep commenting and being a part of it. Keep hitting us up on Twitter. And this is what we do. We do it for the community aspect. So a lot of love to everybody that joined us along the 2020 season. It was a bumpy one, but we're in 2021 now, so let's hope for a better year and some more success along the way for everybody and good health to everybody. So as always, we will catch you on the next one, and have a great day.